Hey there, YouTube and Wooper Club fans. It's Fruit Taco, coach of the Route 1 Burbs, bringing you the feature match from Week 3 of WCL Season 14. This week we have the Corviknight Clobberers going up against the Tera Heatwave. This is actually a battle of brothers, so let's see who comes out on top with the gold and lord it over their sibling for the rest of the season. Checking out the rosters for both sides, we have the Clobberers with Roaring Moon, Thunderous Incarnate, Pheasantipity, Arcanine, Bramblegast, Regidrago, Florges, Sinistra, Scizor, Berserker, and Gastrodon going up against the Heatwave with Iron Bundle, Spectrier, Iron Valiant, Mousehold, Palmot, Hisuian Arcanine, Deoxys Defense Form, Shiftry, Abomasnow, Swampert, and Amoonguss. Looking at the speeds between the two sides, the advantage definitely goes to the Heatwave, who have the two fastest Mons as well as 5 of the top 7. They have the fastest Mon in the matchup who also has access to that Quark Drive speed boost, making them so fast and valuable in this matchup, but the Clobberers do have Thundurus and Prankster Thunderwave as an option to slow some of those Mons down. Looking at the matchups, the Clobberers, well, looking at the Heatwaves, there's a big flying weakness. 4 weaknesses, only 1 resist, and then Fairy, Fire, and Psychic have 3 weaknesses and only 2 resists each. Not as easy to exploit as the flying weakness, but still not very heavily resisted. And Fighting is also an interesting type to look at. They have 5 weaknesses and 4 resists on the other side, so pretty much a interaction with that type on most Mons. And then looking as well, Dragon and Ghost are very spammable with few weaknesses but also few resists. I think Tera Flying could open up huge offense for Mons like Roaring Moon with Tera Flying Acrobatics, and even Thundurus getting a stab flying move from Tera Blast. I think Prankster Thunderwave is definitely going to be important, so I expect that Thundurus to come for sure, getting the ability to slow down things like Iron Bundle or Iron Valiant that have that speed boost from a booster energy, as well as potential things in like Tailwind. I definitely expect that to play a big role. Iron Valiant is the only thing in the way of Dragon Spam for Roaring Moon and Regidrago, so I think something like Scizor to focus on taking that out, and then without that, just Dragon Spam is going to be very effective. We could also see stuff like Florges and Gastrodon being important special and physical walls respectively. Looking at the Heatwaves matchup, well, the Clobberers are weak to Ice for sure, 5 weaknesses with only 2 resists. Ghost is pretty spammable with 2 weaknesses and 1 resist, then Flying and Rock are also relatively unresisted. Iron Bundle looks insane here, with it being the fastest thing, has access to that Quark Drive speed boost, and it hits 7 Pokemon super effectively with no resist to its dual stab options, including Freeze Dry. Iron Valiant, I think, is also very important as a dragon immunity, but with good coverage, it could be incredible offensively as well. Then, of course, like I said, Ghost is very spammable, so I think Spectrier looks great as well. Overall, I think I'm going to favor the Heatwave. They've got the better speed and are having a better season so far. I think the variety of offensive options for them will just ultimately break down the Clobberers before the Clobberers can kind of neutralize all of those threats. But with that out of the way, let's see what is actually coming to the match. And here is the Clobberers team. I'm very surprised not to see that Thundurus. I thought it would be actually quite good in this matchup, but they're leaving it behind. What they are bringing is going to start off with Sinistra. Max HP, max special attack, modest, bulky offensive set here. The Yachi Berry to eat an attack from Iron Bundle. It's going to take less than half from a Timid Freeze Dry. Tera Grass is going to boost the power of Matcha Gacha. Strength Sap, Calm Mind, and Rage Powder then provide various forms of utility for it. This is kind of a strange set. The spread is fine, but Calm Mind on something with Rage Powder seems counterintuitive, as you're probably clicking Rage Powder if you're not attacking. There are only 3 grass resists, so the Mono Stab isn't horrible, but I think something like Tera Normal and Shadow Ball to counter the Spectrier would have been really nice. This is a fine set, but between the Tera, Strength Sap, and Calm Mind, I just think there's a little more that could have been gotten out of this Mon. Moving on, we have Roaring Moon. Max attack Jolly with near max speed, and looks like it's actually missing some EVs. It outspeeds everything it can. Looks like that extra little bit of EVs just wasn't put somewhere, potentially from a last minute looking at the speed tiers and realizing he had some extra EVs, just couldn't decide where to put them. Tera Poison is going to let it resist fairy and fighting attacks. Its attack is going to be boosted by a booster energy and the option of Dragon Dance. Earthquake, Iron Head, and Acrobatics are the attacks of choice, and, well, this is a pretty good set. I wish he had gone Tera Flying to boost Acrobatics, though, and knock off her Dragon Claw instead of Earthquake I think also would have made sense. EQ only hits Arcanine and Palmont while also hitting your teammates, so I think a stab option would have been really good, as Valiant is the only thing that resists Dragon Claw. The choice not to drop a little attack to get the speed boost from Photosynthesis is unfortunate, as if Valiant has the booster energy, it could potentially outspeed, but this is a fine choice nonetheless. I think those move choices could have been optimized a little bit more. Moving on to Scizor, it's got near max HP, max attack adamant with a Lumberry. Terra Steel is going to boost those bullet punches already boosted by Technician. Knock Off and Tailwind are going to be some options for utility. And then Swords Dance is going to let it really smack things with that priority bullet punch. I like this set a lot. Extra strong priority to combat the faster mons, as well as some cheeky Tailwind support. I think the item could have been improved with something like Safety Goggles if you're worried about Amoonguss, because Arcanine is going to kill you, not burn you. Clear Amulet and Protect could also be options to help play around that Arcanine, as well as maybe changing out Knockoff for something like Close Combat. Like I said, though, Fighting is a very awkward type into the Heat Waves team, so Knockoff not a bad choice for coverage there. And overall, a solid set. Next up, though, we have Pheasantipity. Max Special Attack Modest, 156 EVs in speed, and the rest are in bulk. Choice Scarf is going to let it outspeed everything on the other side. Dazzling Gleam and Venoshock Stab with the chance to get the power boost from Toxic Chain Poisons. Terrifier boosted Heat Wave and Icy Wind for some speed reduction utility. I do not like this set. Pheasantipity just doesn't have the offensive stats to justify a scarfed offensive set. Dazzling Gleam is only doing 50% max to completely uninvested Iron Bundle, who is not specially bulky at all, which shows you that it's just not that strong. I think a bulky support set could work trying to get the Toxic Chain procs on things like Icy Wind, but I just don't see this set paying off. Regidrago would have been a much better scarfed attacker in my opinion. Moving on to something I like more, though, is the Gastrodon. Max HP, max special defense, special wall with the leftovers. Terra Fire will let it resist Freeze Dry and Grass moves while not caring about Hydro Pump because of Storm Drain. Earth Power is its main attacking move, with Spikes and Icy Wind for utility and Recover. I'm surprised to see this as a special wall. There's lots of scary special attackers on the other side, but I expected Fizdef to resist Arcanine's dual stabs better. Although, looking at the calcs, actually, it does pretty well with the special defense investment anyway. Spikes and Recover are okay choices, but I think Helping Hand definitely should have been here somewhere. Overall, it's a good wall, but I just don't know how well it will actually protect the rest of the team while they're getting hammered by the threats on the other side. And last up, we have Bramblegast. Max attack, max speed, Jolly with a Rocky Helmet, seems a little odd. Wind Rider can give it a boost in Tailwind while being immune to key attacks like Blizzard, and Rapid Spin will give it speed outside of that Tailwind. Poltergeist and Terra Grass boosted Power Whips are the stab options of choice, with Strength Sap for some potential recovery. The Rocky Helmet confuses me a little since it's not a bulky set. Something like a Wide Lens or a boosting item probably would have been my choice. I'd probably also have gone with Terra Ghost to boost the less resisted stab as well. I think this set is going to rely on Tailwind to be effective, but I think it has a decent shot at putting in some work. Overall, there are definitely some choices and mons and moves I wouldn't have made differently, but this team does have stuff to work with. I'm just not confident it's going to be able to pick up the key KOs they need. Getting the appropriate support off at the right time is going to be absolutely key for this team. So with that, let's move on to their opponents. Looking now at the Heat Wave 6 mons, well, if I was surprised not to see the Thunderous for the Clobberers, I'm surprised not to see the Valiant here. We're going to start things off with Iron Bundle. Max special attack, 152 EVs in speed with a timid nature, and the rest of the investment going into bulk. This is going to outspeed the entire opposing team and get the speed boost from that booster energy, although it looks like he actually could have squeezed out just a little more speed from there and put a little bit more into bulk. Tera Dark is going to let it avoid Prankster Thunder Waves. Freeze Dry, Blizzard, and Hydro Pump are its attacks of choice with Protect. This is just a great set. Blizzards are always going to hit in the snow that we're going to see later on with other good stab options. Tera Dark to avoid the Prankster moves is good, but I think Tera Electric to still be immune to the Thunder Wave but also resist Bullet Punch might have been just a little bit better, although the Ghost and Dark resists are valuable, so I think it's a bit of a toss-up which type you go with there. Overall, love this set. Next we have Hisuian Arcanine, 220 EVs in attack with an adamant nature and 128 EVs in speed, and most of the rest in HP with a citrus berry for survivability. This is another slightly odd speed investment, not seeming to outspeed anything in particular. Tera Grass is going to let it resist the quad weaknesses it has, and Extreme Speed, Rock Slide, and Flare Blitz give good offensive presence with Helping Hand and Intimidate helping out its teammates. This is a fine set, but it isn't quite hitting my fancy. The speed investment is a little awkward. E-Speed is great here, as is Flare Blitz for the Steels and Sinistra. Rock Slide is okay, but I don't think it's particularly useful, as most of the things you outspeed resist it, and Protect or Will-O-Wisp I think could have been more useful. Between E-Speed and Helping Hand, the attack and bulk investment, this set just seems a little torn between offense and support, but I think it still has plenty of room to work in the match. Moving on, we have Abomasnow, max special attack with a boosting nature, 48 in attack, the rest in bulk. Icy Rock Snow Warning is going to set snow for Iron Bundle's Blizzards as well as its own, with Icy Wind, Aurora Veil, and Ice Shard providing other options. Tera Water will give it better defensive typing as well, and I like this set. Aurora Veil and Icy Wind are good support of the team, while the snow enables Bundle to freely click Blizzard. Quiet Nature is smart not to weaken the Ice Shard, which is doing a third plus to the fast weaknesses, and even upwards of 50% to that Bramblegast, whose Wind Rider would make it immune to Blizzard. Moving on, we have Glastrier, max special attack with enough speed and timid nature to outspeed the other team. Tera Dark to avoid Prankster moves, as well as resist Ghost and Dark type attacks. Life Orb and Nasty Plot to boost Draining Kiss, and Shadow Ball as the attacks of choice with Protect rounding out the set. This is a good set, with Draining Kiss hitting Roaring Moon and Shadow Ball being at worst neutral against the rest of the team. I don't really have much else to say other than I think Taunt or another support move could have been possible alternatives to Nasty Plot, but I think Nasty Plot is a fine choice in and of itself. Swampert is coming as well, heavy investment in HP and bulk, leaning on the special side, and enough speed to outspeed uninvested Sinistra. Lefties and Tera Steel provide additional tanky attributes. Wide Guard is going to block attacks like Dragon Energy, Matcha Gotcha, and Wild Bolt Storm. Stealth Rock will pressure that Thunderous. Stomping Tantrum and Flip Term are then stabs that provide utility. I think this is another slightly awkward set. Wide Guard is great. I understand wanting the rocks, but I don't know, this set just doesn't look like it has a lot to do for most of the match. Bramblegast, Scizor, Roaring Moon, there's just a lot of things that don't particularly care about this set, so I think Wide Guard is going to be the majority of this Mon's use, honestly. And last up, we have Mousehold. Bulky set here with max HP, enough speed to outspeed Fezandipity, and most of the rest in defense. Friend Guard will help protect its ally, and Tera Fairy makes it a good Roaring Moon wall. Follow Me pairs well with the Rocky Helmet to punish physical attackers drawn into attacking it. And then Encore and Taunt provide disruption, and Super Fang provides reliable damage. I really like this set. It definitely is aimed at walling Roaring Moon with the Tera Fairy and the Rocky Helmet. Follow Me is great to let Spectrier click Nasty Plot, as well as take the pressure off of the other pieces. I think, while there are a couple awkward things about some of these sets, I think as a whole it works. A lot of pressure is on the Iron Bundle and Spectrier as the fast offensive pieces, but Aurora Veil and Mousehold's support should give them plenty of room to operate. I think this is a pretty fine crafted team here for the Heatwave. And, well, there's nothing else left to do but see how the teams actually went at it, and let's do just that. Looking at the team preview as the teams face off, for the Clobberers, No Iron Valiant on the other side is opening up Roaring Moon, as well as there being no Pawmot to Mach Punch it. Man, imagine if they had Dragon or Dark Stab on that thing. No resists in sight. It would have gone absolutely hard in this match. No Amoonguss or Pawmot is also, I think, going to help Scizor out, as they both resisted or heavily redirected that important Bullet Punch for it. On the other side, Iron Bundle absolutely goes in on this team, as does Spectre, with no Prankster Thunderwave to slow them down. Looking at the leads for the coaches, we're going to have Gastrodon and Sinistra into Arcanine and Swampert. And this is kind of an awkward standoff here, where Wideguard can protect Swampert from Sinistra, but Sinistra is afraid of Arcanine, but Arcanine is afraid of Gastrodon. We're going to see Arcanine switch out into Abomasnow to take a Ground-type move, as Sinistra switches into Roaring Moon to take a Fire-type move. Then Wideguard protects from a potential Machigacha, and Earth Power not doing a whole lot. Roaring Moon will Tera to change its weakness, get off a big Iron Head as rocks go up, and the big flinch, and then Spikes get traded for the hazards. That was a big flinch. Acrobatics would have been the stronger move, with about a 1 in 3 chance to actually KO the Abomasnow, as well as being stronger if Abomasnow Terra'd, but the flinch pays off, and I suppose Iron Head also would have been better if the Arcanine decided to switch right back in. A Blizzard or Aurora Veil from the Abomasnow would have been big for the Heat Wave, though. I think I disagree with the Stealth Rocks from the Swampert here. You know that the Roaring Moon is Terra Poison, and Stomping Tantrum plus Blizzard should KO the Roaring Moon regardless of if it Terras or not, and neither of those mons is particularly concerned about Gastrodon, who is threatened by a potential Grass move anyway and might switch out. Here, Arcanine is going to switch in to get the Intimidate off. It's going to absolutely eat an Acrobatics here easily. And then, man, this Swampert is kind of a problem. Earth Power not going to do a lot, but the Stomping Tantrum does a huge amount to the Roaring Moon. The Iron Head would have been, ironically, the right play this time, but they went for the Acrobatics, which the Arcanine pretty easily takes. I think, the Swampert is a problem. I probably would have gone for another layer of Spikes myself, though, I think, or Earth-powered the Abomasnow to cover the Arcanine switch in. I just don't think that little bit of chip damage here is really going to pay off that much in the long run. And the Arcanine looks to be in a great spot here, with E-Speed, a guaranteed KO on Roaring Moon, and Swampert picking up the KO if Sinistra switches in to heal it. In fact, with Gastrodon out and Roaring Moon Terra'd, there really are no answers for Flare Blitzes into that slot right now if Arcanine Terras to live Earth Powers. Arcanine will switch out, though, to Abomasnow, not wanting to eat a ground move, but Gastro actually switches into Sinistra, healing Roaring Moon, who will go for an Earthquake, not do much of anything, and then go down to the Stomping Tantrum. And with Roaring Moon down, Pheasantipity will come out. This turn definitely brought the Heat Wave into the lead. Roaring Moon was a big piece of the Clobberers' offense, and they're definitely on the back foot without it or Tera. Pheasantipity, I'm not sure it's a great choice, but nothing really like staring down Arcanine when it eventually comes in, and Gastrodon can only switch into one slot, so kinda had to pick your poison here. Wideguard will protect the team from the Dazzling Gleam, while the Sinistra is going to heal up with a Strength Sap here. That does leave the Abomasnow to fire off a big Blizzard, though, even through the Yachi Berry, and crit freeze the Pheasantipity. Very unfortunate for the Clobberers there. Locking itself into Dazzling Gleam was an interesting call. We know Swampert has the Wideguard and wants to click it to avoid the Machigacha. However, if you go for something like Venoshock to hit the Abomasnow and take it out, well, it's resisted by both Arcanine and Spectre, who can come in and threaten your team immediately. So it's kind of awkward to lock yourself into regardless. Unfortunate, though, that they kind of got punished by leaving that Abomasnow alive in the end, and the big freeze on the Pheasantipity as well as the crit. Spectre is going to come in for Swampert, as Ice Shard is going to come out and bring Sinistra down to 30%, and then the first turn Thaw will actually take out the Abomasnow, and the single target Machigacha will bring the Spectre very low while healing up Sinistra. A little bit of luck for the Clobberers now. However, That just means that Iron Bundle is going to come out, and with the booster energy speed boost and 2 turns of snow left, this is just a huge free Blizzard for them. Blizzard will come out, KO Sinistra, do big damage, and freeze the Pheasantipity again. No first turn thaw this time means it will go down to Draining Kiss, and Spectrier just barely lives its Life Orb recoil even with a min roll on that Draining Kiss. Scizor and Gastrodon are coming to come out against this +1 Spectrier with 1 attack left in it, and Iron Bundle with 1 more turn of snow. Protect will save the Spectre this turn, and here Freeze Dry from the Iron Bundle will go out and KO the Gastrodon easily, meaning it's 2v5, Scizor and Bramblegast up against Spectrier, Iron Bundle, Arcanine, Swampert, and Mousehold. Here comes the Arcanine in for Spectrier to get the Intimidate off against the physical attackers, while Iron Bundle is going to protect here. It's going to save it from the Power Whip, but a Tailwind actually from Scizor going to give the attack boost to the Bramblegast, and maybe it can actually turn this thing around. I'm a little surprised he didn't just go for that the Heat Wave didn't just go for the Freeze Dry. You definitely outspeed, and it's a guaranteed KO on the Bramblegast. You've broken a potential Sash, you know the Tera is out of the way, you've seen the Yachi Berry. I think you could have just gone for the KO there. But instead we have Tailwind and a now neutral Bramblegast. Maybe it can make something happen after all. We're going to see actually 2 switches here for the Terrifier Heat Wave. Going to sack Glastrier to the Spikes, and Swampert to a Power Whip, as Swords Dance will actually buff the Scizor, but a second Intimidate here from Arcanine and Mousehold. Going to be looking pretty good here to clean things up after that Citrus Berry. Follow Me is going to draw the Bullet Punch and as well a Power Whip into the Mousehold, just barely avoiding the slim chance to get KO'd by those 2 moves. Flare Blitz will then easily take out the Scizor. Another Follow Me and another hit Power Whip will take out the Mousehold. However, Arcanine will ultimately be able to pick up the KO and secure a win for the Terrifier Heat Wave here, bringing them to 3-0. The Clobberers definitely got unlucky with those Blizzards, the crit and 2 freezes onto Pheasantipity, although they did thaw out of the first one. If the second freeze hadn't been there, Iron Bundle would have been at or just under half had the Dazzling Gleam gone off. Mousehold or Arcanine could have come in, though, and I think it still would have let them trade well, though, so ultimately I think the battle would still have ended in the Heat Wave's favor, but unfortunate for the Clobberers nonetheless. I think the match came down to prep and team building. The Clobberers just didn't quite have the tools they needed. Wide Guard shut down the Sinistra, and they didn't have the right coverage at the right time for things like Arcanine switching in, and, well, without Roaring Moon, they just didn't have the punch they needed when Bramblegast was threatened by a Freeze-Dry Oko, or upwards of 50% from Abomasnow's Ice Shard for most of the match. This was still a great battle, though. Congrats to both coaches for playing a good game, and thanks to you guys for watching. Please remember you can do all that YouTube stuff, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that jazz. And I'll leave you with this information. We've had some of the Week 4 matches already, and they've been absolutely amazing. Trust me, you don't want to miss next week's feature match, and, well, I'll see you then.